CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Today, we're going to learn about the background, the journey story, and a bunch of other cool stuff from Jose Funes, and he is with MVP1. You might have seen I did a previous episode with MVP1. I got something else in post right now. But Jose, thank you for being on CMMS Radio.
Yes, sir. No, thank you for inviting me here and giving me the opportunity just to discuss a little bit of my background here.
Yeah, and that's, the reason I think that's important is that it helps people that are in the industry, even if they're at other CMMS and asset management companies, but it helps everybody, especially the end users, understand who they're working with. If they decide to work with MVP1, they get a little sense of who and what you are. And before we jump into that background, I just want to give a really quick kind of shout out to your military experience and being a United States Marine, Devil Dog, and thank you for your service, man. That stuff is important to me, and we'll just knock that out real quick. So thank you for that.
No, I really appreciate it. And I just want to piggyback real quick. It is important to understand who the customers are working with, especially somebody with that manufacturing, just consumer and industrial product background.
Yeah. So let's get into that, because you and I were kind of talking online, trading messages on LinkedIn, and give us a little bit on that background. Like, obviously, we know you were in the military. Was that what catapulted you then into the manufacturing sector?
Yes, 100%. I think everything happened by chance. I was just barely 18 years old when I joined the Marine Corps, and they assigned me my MOS code was 6046, which is Aviation Aircraft Data Specialist. And that's where the funny thing is that I didn't understand my industry or my job until today, until I'm working here with MVP1. I was able to understand my experience a little bit more. But if anyone has seen the movie Top Gun, have you seen the movie Top Gun, Greg, by any chance?
I have. Yes, sir.
So that exact aircraft, which is the fighter attack TAC 18 fighter jet, I used to for most of my career, I in the Marine Corps, I used to do the data analysis and maintenance administration for all those components of those aircrafts. So that I think that's where I made that tie of what I'm doing right now and what I did back then. Again, which is just funny because I didn't understand it. But what I was doing is essentially working very close with maintenance controllers to optimize our workload and our operations. Because in the world of manufacturing or just consumer and industrial products, there are too many moving parts, and sometimes there's a lot of departments. And what was key? It was just communication during my time there.
Yeah. So when you're doing it there, did you? So now that you're here at MVP1, you're actually in the industry helping people. You've got the different understanding, and we'll get into your manufacturing experience in a second. But with what you did in the military, you're kind of saying that now with what you're doing, you can kind of put it all together. And what do you think the biggest difference you see now that you couldn't see then? Like a kind of like a thing where you were like, damn, I didn't even realize that. Now I do.
Yeah. No, that's exactly that epiphany, right? Just happened while I was working, while I've been here with MVP1 with CMMS software. So, first of all, when you go in the military and you get assigned a job, everything's very brief. Sometimes even superficial. They kind of just put you where you're needed. You're trained to do the job, but they don't teach you why you do the things, or kind of what it is that you're really doing. You're just doing your job, right? Like you're
Mm.
told. Um, but when I came here to MVP one, um, I learned that it was a CMMS software. And when I started hearing keywords like work orders, uh, parts, serial numbers, part numbers, all these keywords, I was like, man, I'm familiar with these words. I'm familiar with this type of workload. And then I realized that that's exactly what I was doing in the Marine Corps. I was working with work orders. Well, there we call them MAFs, which is just manual action form, or maintenance action forms. My apologies, which is the equivalent of a work order. And what it would be very similar. Your maintainers would put in their labor hours, who the work order is assigned to, what maintenance they did. And my responsibility was to just ensure accuracy, because in aviation, accuracy and attention to detail is number one. It is not a joke in aviation. Just one little discrepancy can down an aircraft. But to put it all together, as I was here at MVP one, I realized, I was like, man, I didn't know that I was playing a key role as working directly in that industry. But now I'm on the other hand, on the other side, helping users understand the software a little bit more, and even just ensure that they optimize the usage of our software and our tools that we have available. Uh,
Yeah.
but honestly, it's just those keywords really put it together for me, and that's what made me realize, I'm like, man, I am more familiar with this industry than I thought.
It's interesting you put it that way. I have a lot of different conversations with people, and some of them I'm like, "Hey, you want to come on and talk about it? I mean, it'd be really really fun." And they're like, "Oh man, I don't know anything about that, and I don't really see it." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, stop for a second." Like I've got a buddy that he's in the industry and he sells the machines into the manufacturers that leverage the machines, the CNC machines and the advanced technologies. And
Right.
I'll be talking to him and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "No, dude, you do." And I have to get him to slow down. And he's like, "Oh, oh, oh." So it's kind of like for you when you're on the front lines working with clients that are using the platform, you have this way to understand what they're saying because you actually were doing some of that. Now, can you take us into the manufacturing part of that journey for you? Like when you then transitioned into manufacturing environments, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think I have been indirectly um, exposed to that industry. So one, obviously, that my short time in the Marine Corps, and then additionally, I got the opportunity to get my yellow belt Six Sigma course. So I got certified for a yellow belt. Is that something that you're familiar with?
I am.
Yeah, so for the people who are not familiar with it, it's an entry level certification in the manufacturing industry for you to understand processes, and what they call their waste management. So, for example, people waste. Not necessarily saying that let's fire people or let's lay off people. It's just, are we optimizing each person's skills? Are they working effectively where they're at, or can we move them somewhere else so they can work more effectively? So just things like that. So that's part of the background that I understand. Now I have more insight of the manufacturing industry, and what policies and what's important to them. Additionally, once I got out, I was able to become a professional recruiter for the staffing agency. Um, but my responsibility, my sector, was to hire for manufacturers and consumer and industrial products. So that again, that's how I've been indirectly in this industry, because I had to through the discovery phase with candidates. Have you used SAP software? Have you done work orders? Have you worked with Microsoft 365 Dynamics and other ticketing systems? And I was even able to make some on-site client meetings. For example, fluid management. What they do is they manufacture the machines that mix paint that you can see in if you've ever been to Home Depot or even Menards and bought paint, and
Yeah.
you see that they put that bucket in there, and the machines just start shaking that bucket. So that's what fluid management manufactures. So being able to just see things in person, see things how they work, the kind of that dirty grind work that, in my opinion, deserves more respect. And then another example, I went to an on-site meeting with Clyde's Donuts, and I was able to just see the full process from how the donut is first made to then how it's being frozen in a quick manner to then being packaged to then being distributed. And man, that to me is just awesome because this is people don't see this. They just eat the food or they just use the product, but they don't think about the process that it went through just to get to the consumer.
This is good because there's a lot of talk throughout the industry, a lot of, I call them real deal pros, people that have been in the trenches. I actually call them bona fide experts. They're true maintenance and reliability practitioners, other maintenance practitioners, people that are from these manufacturing environments. They've been in oil and gas, you name it. A lot of them have been in the military. And what you're actually talking about is this concept of go and see. Now, it's slightly different. The concept of go and see typically would be the people within that manufacturing environment that sit behind desks and do all the business stuff, and they kind of know some stuff, but they might have a tendency to not get out on the shop floor, to not understand all the things a little bit more deeply about the frontline workforce. Now, when we talk about your understanding of manufacturing, what you did was you took opportunities to learn from the people you were engaged with. I did a lot of that when I was in the CMMS space myself, and you also got this awesome opportunity to visit and actually see the process, so you had a better understanding. So instead of like, yeah, I know manufacturing backwards and forwards, you're
Right.
more like, I've done things and I have invested the time to understand, because I now do this. It's not like I can go do everything that you do, but I can come there, I can do the walkthroughs, I can understand how it really works, start to finish, raw material to packaged and out the door. And that's a really important thing that I've often said, that, at all the CMMS companies and asset management companies, if you're in there doing a job of any kind, working with people in these manufacturing and similar environments, facilities management, whatever it is, find some time to go talk to them at their facility, learn a little bit more about what they really do, so that you have a little better grip on it. So you've done that, and I really like that, because I think it's possible. And you're also doing something that's really important. You're saying, wait a minute, Greg, I wasn't actually in manufacturing. Let me clarify. A
Yeah.
lot of folks out there won't do that, and that's important. It's why I like to have these kind of conversations and just forget about that. We're talking to anybody else. It's really important. Now, I want to switch it to, with you being involved directly in technical support for your clientele at MVP1, can you give me an example of some of the situations, or a situation that you tend to encounter regularly, and how you really solve that? Like, somebody's now got the solution, they're in the midst of their deployment, or maybe they've been a user and then they run into an issue. Is there anything like that that you can share? I'm not looking for, like, any skeletons in the closet. This is more about, um, what is the more common thing you see with, like, user adoption challenges, and how do you help them overcome that internally to really start thriving on the platform?
Yeah, no. So first of all, very well said. Everything that you said, I do agree with it. And then, great question. So I want to start off first with, um, since I've again indirectly been exposed to the manufacturing industry and how things work. um, I feel like I have this sense of understanding the 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 person's mindset, and I know it can be very very frustrating when things are either confusing or it's just not working at all. So one, I think just the customer service skills is really important. So is, hey, we understand where you're coming from. We apologize for any inconvenience. Thank you for your patience. So first of all, that to me is really important because in the manufacturing industry, things move like this sometimes. They move quick. Things got to get done, and I only have so much power, but just those words of encouragement, it helps them. It helps them relax.
Hmm.
Now, two, the a lot of problems are issues. I'm not going to say problems, but a lot of users tend to come in and just they want to optimize their user experience more than actual technical problems. So, for example, maybe they are asking, "Hey, Jose, how do I create a PM that can provide me 12 work orders because I need those 12 work orders. I can't have any less or any more, right? So every question is very unique, but overall, it is very common to get more so of user experience and optimization questions. And what has really really helped me is hours and hours, and I think our all of our technical support team does this, the hours that we have committed to kind of a repetition,
Mm.
creating multiple work orders by testing, creating multiple PMs by testing, creating multiple everything by testing. Now we have an understanding of how to optimize a work request and a work order and a PM. uh, so that's how it goes, right? They ask me the question. We ask more discovery questions to make sure that we understand your issue first on that chat before I tell you, hey, like I have to get back at you later, right? So once we understand what their issue is, we're very nice with them. Hey, this may take a while. Please give me a moment to do some testing. We'll even before we even give them an answer to, we'll test it to make sure that what we're about to tell you is actually accurate and is actually optimal. So we do have a very tedious process to just make sure that the customer is receiving the most optimal solution and a correct solution.
Yeah. Yeah. That all of this gives me like flashbacks, and then it reminds me of some of the other people that I talked to, especially these last 3 years, where you know everybody's trying their best out there in the industry. If they're a service provider delivering a software package, a solution to these problems about what people want to do within their manufacturing environments, are they trying to develop a reliability program within, and how does maintenance play a role in actually making that possible? um, there's a general philosophy would be that maintenance, where does it live? It lives within reliability. So reliability is the big umbrella, and maintenance is a critical component of that. And what you're doing there is almost just focusing in on understanding what they're really trying to do. But the flashbacks I was getting is in how you put the solution you're about to deliver with an existing client that was struggling with something. You put it through its paces first. And I think a lot of companies try to do that, but they can get kind of lost in the process the busier and busier they get as an organization as they're growing. And that's sometimes a challenge. And I just am saying that the clients that get that kind of time from you, and they can see that you've actually done that, they're going to get a better result. And then I'm going to turn it back on to the clients, the users. It's very important that they take that time to reach out, to explain, to allow you to ask questions and better understand what they need. And sometimes they can't do that because they're so busy. So really, I don't know that we resolve it, but the reason I wanted to ask the question is so that people get a sense of what you're passionate about when you get to help people, and the fact that you're intentional about trying to understand what they're doing. And then before you present the solution, you're making sure, yep, this is right. We know what we're talking about. Let's present it so that we can make sure that's going to work for the client. Do you also do, aside from helping the clients with technical things and technical support, Do you ever get involved at the engagement phase before someone has actually become a client, where you might participate in demonstrations or maybe answer some technical questions for them before they actually sign up?
Yeah, that is a great question. So, from what I understand, is MVP one does give essentially like a trial for companies or potential clients who are trying to integrate with MVP one. So they do get limited access to technical support as during that phase. And again, I'm not going to treat that customer any different, in my opinion. We have a customer right now, and they have a lot of questions, for one, because they're not familiar with the software. But I'm not gonna be over here and be like, oh, they're limited support, so I'm not gonna help. No, I'm still gonna try to understand what the issue is. Not just make a good impression, but hey, this is the standard that we work at. We're
Yeah.
gonna try to go through the whole workflow to understand your issue. But yes, you're right. And the other part, because it does tend to be busy, there have been cases where maybe it seems like I'm asking too many questions, but it's not that I'm not on the same page as you. It's just that every site uses different terminology. So I'm just trying to understand that I'm on the same. I'm trying to make sure that, hey, before I give you a solution, that I understand where you're coming from and we're on the same page, and I'm not about to provide you an unnecessary solution to something that's not even related.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the best thing anyone could ever do is ask the questions that they need answers to. And I think a lot of times clients, whether they're actually a paying client or someone that's considering you, I call them clients as well. They need understanding. And through that dialogue, you're actually doing a lot more than just talking about the software. You're forming the relationship that they also can get a sense of what it's going to be like. How much do they really want to help? They might not even know that they're asking that. They might not know that they're learning that when they're engaging. So I always encourage people, like if I'm talking about it and somebody stops me, well, what would you suggest if I'm going to look at a CMMS? I'm thinking about this one, and this one. Which one would you go with? I'd say, look, you got to find out first that are your people really going to use it? Is it the right solution? And they say, well, how do I figure that out? I said, one of the best things you could do, I say, not said, one of the best things you could do is ask the folks you're working with there really tough questions. And they say, like what? I say, ask the things you really want to know and don't be afraid to ask them plainly. They're ready, willing, and able to answer that. And if they're not, you're going to sense it. And same for them. They're going to understand what you're really trying to do, because your job as a solution provider is to understand the problem that you're
Yeah.
solving, agree with them, get that agreement that you can in fact solve it, and then you actually solve it, they move forward. And once they're on board, what's important for everybody out there leveraging CMMS platforms like MVP1 or otherwise is that people are going to be there when they need help. And here's my next question. Do you guys also leverage a kind of a cadence or a regular frequency that you reach out to clients that you might not have heard from, just to check on them and see how they're doing with the platform?
Yeah, and also I wanted to just add on to the last question before I answer this one. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we have our consultants, and then we have our customer success team, great team here at MVP One that also aids in trying to educate a potential customer. Just for example, we have our MVP 101 classes that maintenance users can sign up to just to see a demonstration of MVP one. And then for your second question here, again, we do have our customer success. We are technical support, so we're here for live questions, email questions regarding how to use the software or any discrepancies or technical issues. Now, what customer success does is just to make sure that they are enabling those relationships, reaching out to maybe customers who haven't chatted in a while, and seeing, just verifying that they're good and verifying that, hey, you guys are getting all the help and resources that y'all need. And again, that's all because of our customer success team, our consultants, and just as far as technical support, though, the only thing that we'll do is just follow up on an issue. Sometimes we don't hear back. Hey, we'll make sure we follow up a few times just to make sure that, hey, I know you have an issue and want to ensure that you're still having this issue or if it's no longer an issue. But that is our way that we try to keep our relationships with our clients and customers. Even for there are some customers that you see often, right? There's some users that you see often, and we try to have that just a professional relationship. Like, hey, Greg, how have you been? Like, hey, I see that you have another issue. How may I assist you today? And just try to be cordial and have that again that presence to have a strong relationship with your customers and potential customers.
Yeah. Why? I got to tell you, as we talk through all this and we're just kind of chopping it up here, that's the style
Yeah,
I like to kind of use. Your passion shines through, and I think that's
thank you.
important. Well, it is. That kind of stuff really matters. And everybody everywhere is out here. Like I said it before, trying to do great work, and it feels good when you're making a difference. And we always got to keep trying. You're never one and done. This is an ongoing thing. It's not like, yeah, you're good. You're good. Don't worry about it. Um, so I want to switch you over into the fun question segment that I like to do with first timers on CMMS radio, and that way we can get you back to work, man. So first fun question, and there's no wrong answers on any of this stuff. This is just, let's have some fun here real
I'm right
quick.
here.
Number one, what is your favorite music?
Well, my favorite music, I feel, for me, that would be a hard question because a lot of people always say that I listen to everything, but I feel like I truly, I don't have a favorite genre, but I do listen more to like rock music or alternative much more often than other music. But if you put on some country, I'm gonna listen to some country. If you like Morgan, oh my god, I was Morgan. Uh, Warren, I believe is his name. But really great country singer. Spanish music, you got reggaeton, bachata, cumbia. I'm Latino, so I think I have very diverse, just ears.
All
I like
right.
a little bit of everything.
So no favorite music, you just love music.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
Just
like
as long
it.
as it's good, I'm listening to it.
All right. How about, do you have a favorite sport or hobby? And on the sport, you don't have to be playing it. It could be one you like to watch, cheer for, whatever.
Yeah, actually, right now I'm a practitioner of just martial arts. So I do a little bit of Muay Thai and a little bit of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So I do love watching combat sports like UFC, and other just combat sports. And as far as let's just say more like ball sports, I like watching basketball sometimes and football sometimes. And I am seeing the Super Bowl with the Chiefs here. Just to see
Yeah.
what let's see what happens.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And like for me, I don't have a horse in the race, so I can just watch for a great game, and I hope nobody gets hurt, and that it's
Same
just
thing,
a
same thing.
nice back and forth, some great
Yeah.
plays and not too much controversy. So that's cool. And I love hearing that you're a practitioner in MMA, and that you study and train. I think that's really good stuff. I got a lot of friends that do that, and it's cool. So here's the big one. This is the big fun question, and no wrong answers here. What is your philosophy, perspective, anything at all when it comes to this idea of work-life balance?
Work life balance. It may be an unpopular opinion, because me personally, I don't believe in work life balance if you want to shoot for the stars. However, there is no issue if you just want to have a simple life. For example, my wife she's already graduated. She's about to get her master's. She doesn't practice martial art. She does her 9 to 5, come home and keeps it simple. But me personally, again, I have some different goals. Currently in school to get my bachelor's. Currently, again, I practice martial arts. I have a full time job, and I'm still curious about learning. And it, to me, that's work life balance because I love what I do. But hey, again, it's a very unpopular opinion, but there is no work life balance if you want to shoot for the stars, man. There's always something that can be done, that you could be doing, or that you could be learning.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, this is why I say there's no wrong answers, because it works different for everybody. And I think there's plenty of people out there that would say, yeah, I'm all about that, man. I like this kid. He's doing his thing. And I hope you don't mind me calling you a kid. I mean that
No,
with
no, no,
respect.
it's fine. No
Um,
offense to that.
Man, what a fun conversation. And I know,
Absolutely.
I kind of expected it to be this fun, but when we actually have it and we're connecting here and chopping it up, man, it's good stuff. I appreciate you being on CMMS Radio. Now, I want to make sure everybody knows that how they can find you on LinkedIn. It's Jose, Jose, and it's Funes, Funes. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, that is correct. Great pronunciation. I really appreciate it.
All right,
Yeah,
man.
and then you'll see a picture of me just smiling in the MVP one office with a nice office view right there. So-
Good stuff. Good stuff, man. Thank you for being on CMMS Radio.
no, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.